I still hear their voices echoing even now. Those cruel, dismissive words that cut deeper than any physical wound. I remember sitting in that cold university lecture hall, my cheeks burning with embarrassment as colleagues whispered behind my back, and my own advisor looked at me like I was a fool. Fraud, they called me. A charlatan peddling dangerous theories. The headlines branded me a crackpot, my credibility shredded in the court of public opinion. They told me I'd failed before I'd even begun, that I was an embarrassment to my family, a disgrace to everything we stood for. And for a long time I believed it, but I couldn't let their words define me. No, I knew somewhere deep within that I was chasing something vital, something that could change the world. I was a climate scientist, yes, but I was also a dreamer. And that dream was to heal the earth, one building at a time, through biomimicry, nature's own genius for adaptation. It was a path nobody understood, and certainly nobody in my circle believed in. They ridiculed the idea of designing buildings that mimicked termite mounds for natural cooling, or forests that could regulate their own microclimates. They called it fanciful, impractical, and worse, impossible. But I saw the potential. I saw the future. Years of research, sleepless nights, endless setbacks. My work was dismissed as a joke, my ideas mocked as childish fantasies. My own family, the people I loved most, laughed at me behind my back, calling me naive, saying I was wasting my life chasing fairy tales. They told me I was a failure, a disgrace, an embarrassment to our name. I remember the sting of those words. But I'll also remember something else, the fire that ignited inside me. I refused to let their contempt be the final word. So I left everything behind, my reputation, my doubts, even my own self-doubt, and I dedicated myself fully to this vision. I traveled to the most remote, barren landscapes I could find, experimenting with designs inspired by nature's most resilient ecosystems. I built prototypes, tested theories, and gradually I started to see the impossible become possible. My buildings began to regulate temperature naturally, conserve water, and even support local flora and fauna. I was creating something revolutionary, something that could redefine sustainable architecture. It wasn't easy. Every setback felt like a personal failure, every doubter's laugh a wound. But I persisted, driven by an unshakable belief in what I was doing. And then, one day, it happened. The breakthrough. My designs caught the attention of global environmental organizations, governments, and even private investors. My work was recognized as a game changer. I had proven that biomimicry wasn't just a fanciful idea, but a vital tool for saving our planet. Years later, I returned home, not as the discredited scientist they once mocked, but as a pioneer whose ideas had transformed entire ecosystems. I had taken barren, degraded lands, deserts, abandoned industrial sites, and turned them into lush, thriving environments. Forests grew where there was once only dust. Rivers flowed through landscapes that had been cracked and parched for decades. Wildlife returned, and communities began to flourish alongside the green oases. It was a victory not just for me, but for the earth itself. And I knew in that moment that all the pain, the rejection, the ridicule, every tear I shed had been worth it. Because I had proved them wrong, yes. But more importantly, I had proved to myself that resilience, passion, and unwavering belief could overcome even the deepest doubt. The day I returned to my family's home, I decided to show them what I had become, not through words, but through action. I arranged for them to visit the latest project, a sprawling ecological hub built entirely with biomimetic principles, nestled in the heart of what was once a wasteland. As they stepped through the gates, I watched their faces, initially a mix of skepticism and curiosity. But then the silence fell over them. They saw it. Not just a building, but a living, breathing testament to what nature and human ingenuity could accomplish. The walls mimicked termite mounds, cooling the entire structure without air conditioning. The roofs resembled forest canopies, collecting rainwater and supporting native plant life. The air hummed with life, and the landscape was bursting with color, vitality, and hope. And then I saw it, the moment that etched itself into my memory forever. My father, who once called me a dreamer fool, looked around, eyes wide with disbelief. My mother's hands trembled as she touched the leaves of a native plant growing on the roof. My siblings, who once mocked my ideas as childhood, stood in silence, watching a family of birds nest in a carefully designed cavity, thriving in the very home they had called impractical. The silence broke when my father finally looked at me, tears in his eyes. "We were wrong," he whispered. "You were right all along." And in that moment, I realized that true success isn't measured by awards or headlines. It's by the courage to pursue your vision, despite the noise of doubt and derision. It's about turning rejection into resilience, ridicule into respect, failure into triumph. I had become what I always knew I could be, an agent of change, a testament to perseverance. That day, I didn't just show them what I had built. I showed them what it means to believe in yourself, even when the world doesn't. I hope my story reminds anyone listening that your dreams are worth fighting for, that your worth isn't defined by others' opinions, and that sometimes the greatest victory is simply proving that you are enough. Because in the end, the universe favors those who refuse to give up, who turn rejection into fuel, and who, against all odds,